Thomas and Friends, making tracks to great destinations.
Learning Curve is proud to support Thomas and Friends on PBS Kids. Because when it comes to encouraging your child's creativity, we believe the best lessons in life are based on play. Learning Curve, toys and infant care products.
Because nothing inspires the imagination quite like the magic of train travel, Amtrak is proud to support Thomas and Friends on PBS. You can never have too many friendly faces out on the rails.
Dear Christopher, here is your friend Thomas the Tank Engine. He wanted to come out of his station yard and see the world. These stories tell you how he did it. I hope you will like them, because you helped me to make them. Your loving, Daddy.
The island of Sodor is surrounded by beautiful blue sea. It has fields of green and sandy yellow beaches. There are rivers, streams, and lots of trees where the birds sing. There are windmills and a coal mine, and docks where visitors to the island arrive. The island also has lots and lots of railway lines. Who's that puffing down the track? It's Thomas! Hello, Thomas! Hello, everybody! Welcome to the island of Sodor.
Today, on the island of Sodor, we'll see Then see Thomas. But first,
one morning, Thomas was being cleaned when Gordon arrived. Mud had blown all over his smart blue paint. "Hello, Gordon," called Thomas. "You look as if you've had a mud bath. Be a sensible engine and have a shower instead." Gordon snorted. "I haven't time to dawdle over my appearance like fussy tank engines do." The wind blew stronger. "Gordon, slow down," called his driver. This made Gordon crosser still. "Now I'll be dirty and late, he hissed. At the next station was a sign. All trains must wash down daily. James had just finished being cleaned. "Come on, Gordon," said his driver. "You'll feel better, too, after a good hose down." "Bah!" said Gordon, and angrily let off steam. "You're a very naughty engine," said Gordon's driver. "Now James will need another shower. You'll have to wait your turn till later." "Good riddance," huffed Gordon. "I'm far too busy to waste time with water." He finished his journey safely and steamed into the big station. Sir Topham Hatt was waiting. So were Gordon's coaches and the passengers. "Goodness gracious," said Sir Topham Hatt. "You can't pull the train. Henry will have to do it. Gordon, you'd better get cleaned straight away." Gordon was soon being washed. "Mind my eyes," he grumbled. Then he pulled cars for the rest of the day. Freight trains, he spluttered. He felt his position deeply. That's for you, and you, and you. Cars will be cars, laughed James. They won't with me, snorted Gordon. I'll teach them. James got ready to take the express when Gordon returned. Be careful, warned Gordon. The hills are slippery. You may need help. I don't need help on hills, replied James huffily. Gordon thinks he knows everything. Earlier, a storm had swept Gordon's hill, blowing leaves onto the tracks, which made them slippery. Even though the storm had passed, the hill was still difficult to climb. James knew this. The signal showed clear, and James began to go faster. I'll do it, he puffed. Halfway up, he was not so sure. I must do it. But his wheels slipped on the leaves. He couldn't pull the train at all. Help, whistled James. His wheels were turning forward, but the heavy coaches pulled him backwards. The whole train started slipping down the hill. His driver shut off steam and put on the brakes. Then carefully he stopped the train. Gordon saw everything. Ah, well, we live and learn. Never mind, little James. I'm going to push behind. Clouds of smoke and steam billowed from the snorting engines as they struggled up the hill. We can do it, puffed James. We will do it, puffed Gordon. At last, they reached the top. Beep, beep. Thank you. Goodbye, whistled James. Boop, boop, answered Gordon. Goodbye. That night, Sir Topham Hatt came to see the engines. Gordon was miserable. Please, sir, said Thomas, can Gordon pull coaches again now? If you understand that having a washdown is essential to every engine, then yes, Gordon, you may. Thank you, grunted Gordon. Dirty or clean, I'm a famous machine. But no one heard but him.
You see, there's a world around you wherever you may be. Favorite names and places everywhere you go. Sodor is our island, the only home we know. Out of Henry's Tunnel or climbing Gordon's Hill, past the castle ruins towards the watermill. We'll whistle past the lighthouse, gleaming red and white. We'll leave the sheds at Tidmouth, then come back home at night. Take a look about you, enjoy the world you see. Be it town or country, there's such variety. Old familiar faces everywhere you go. Sodor is our island, the only home we know. Doobie doobie dooba, doobie doobie dooba, doobie doobie dooba. Doobie doobie dooba, doobie doobie dooba, doobie doobie dooba. Have a look about you, take in what you see. There's a world around you wherever you may be. Favorite names and places everywhere you go. Sodor is our island, the only home we know. Across the old steel bridge or past the church we'll go. Up beyond the windmill or plowing through the snow. On towards the castle and past the sea so blue. Wherever you are going, here's what you should do. Have a look about you, take in what
Thomas is happy working on the Sodor Railway. It makes him very proud. Can you guess what makes him proudest? Shunting coal cars is hard and dirty work, but Thomas doesn't mind. Being good at shunting freight cars makes him very proud. Now Thomas is going to collect the children. Taking the children to school in Annie and Clarabelle also makes him very proud. But what do you think makes him proudest of all? When Thomas pulls into Tidmouth Sheds and Sir Topham Hatt says, "Thomas, you are a really useful engine." That's what makes Thomas feel the proudest of all.
James is a mixed traffic engine. He can pull both freight cars and coaches. He's proud of his smart red paint, and so is his driver. Everyone says you brighten up their day, James. One morning, James whistled loudly at the other engines. "Look at me. I am the smartest, most useful engine on the line." "Rubbish," replied Thomas. "We're all useful. Sir Topham Hatt says so, and he's head of the whole railway." "You know what, James?" added Percy. "What?" replied James. "You're getting all puffed up." James huffed away. Later, he was still boasting. "I'm the pride of the line." "I saw you pulling freight cars," snorted Gordon. "You're only a goods engine." "I pull coaches, too." "Not as much as I do." "But Sir Topham Hatt has plans for me." James was only making this up, but Gordon believed him. "What plans?" Wait and see." "Oh dear," he thought. "Now what'll I do?" Thomas was shunting shining new coaches. "Good morning, James." "Are those coaches for me?" asked James hopefully. "No, these are for Gordon's Express. I'll fetch your freight cars next." But James was going to play a trick on the other engines. "Actually, Thomas, I'm taking the coaches. Sir Topham Hatt asked me to tell you." "What about the cars?" asked Thomas. Give them to Gordon." "Come on, Thomas," said his driver. "Orders are orders." So when James's driver returned, James was coupled to the coaches and he puffed away. Thomas returned with the freight cars, and a few minutes later, Gordon arrived. "Where's the express?" Thomas told him about James. "And so here are your cars." Gordon was very cross, and so was his driver. "Wait till Sir Topham Hatt hears about this." Meanwhile, James was enjoying himself enormously. "What a clever plan! What a clever plan!" he chuffed. Then he saw Sir Topham Hatt. "Some jokes are funny, but not this one, James. You have caused confusion." "Yes, sir," said James. "You will now stay in your shed until you are wanted." The other engines teased James. "I wonder who'll be pulling the express today," said Gordon. "I expect it'll be you," replied Henry. "James is stuck in the shed for being silly." James felt sad. Next morning, he went back to work. "Hello," whistled Thomas. "Good to see you out and about again." "I'm sorry I tricked you," said James. "Are these my cars?" "Yes," replied Thomas kindly. "They are pleased to have you back." James set off to the harbor with his train of freight cars. He bustled about all day, pushing and pulling them into place. "Time to go home now, James," said his driver at last. "No cars or passengers, just we two." But his driver was wrong. "Excuse me," called a man. "I have a meeting with Sir Topham Hatt, and I mustn't be late. May I ride back with you?" Of course, replied James's driver. Then he whispered to James, "This gentleman is a railway inspector." James was most impressed. He steamed along the line as smoothly and quickly as he could. Sir Topham Hatt was waiting on the platform, and the railway inspector greeted him warmly. "This clever engine gave me a splendid ride. You must be proud of him." "Yes, indeed. Once again, you are a really useful engine."
See how the night sky glows. See the light from the night train, the fire glow from the night train. On down the line he goes. Ooh, on down the line he goes. All through the night he goes. Hear the sound of the night train, the chugga chug chug of the night train. Hear how his whistle blows. Ooh, hear how his whistle blows. Whirling, heaving, big engine breathing, pistons pushing side by side. Driver checking, gauging, hearing, fireman stoking by his side. On down the line they go. Fast track to the mail train, clear away from the post train. Non-stop all night they go. Woo-hoo. Non-stop all night they go. See how the night sky glows. Clear ahead for the night train, green light for the night train. On down the track he blows. Ooh, on down the track he blows. Dawn is breaking, sleepy town waking, children waving, watch him go. Freight trains, milk trains, boat trains waiting, stand aside to let him go. There in the morning glow, the sunlight on the night train silhouettes the night train. On down the line he blows. Woo-hoo. There in the morning glow. On down the line he blows. Hear the sound of the night train, the chugga chug chug of the night train. Hear how his whistle blows. Woo-hoo. Hear how his whistle blows. On down the line he blows. On down the line he blows.
Gordon, Mavis, and Percy each have a special job to do today. Pulling the express, shunting cars of slate at the quarry, and taking the mail car. Can you guess which job would make Gordon feel really useful? There he goes. Around one bend, and then around another. But where's he heading? To the express car. Gordon is pulling the express today. It's the job that makes him feel really useful. What about Mavis? Which job would make her feel really useful? She's on her way, through the curves, round the bends, but where will she end up? At the slate car. Mavis is shunting slate cars in the quarry today. It's the job that makes her feel really useful. What about Percy? There he goes, along the track, twisting and turning, but where's he going? To the mail car. Percy is taking the mail today. It's Percy's favorite job. It makes Percy feel really useful. Mavis, Percy, and Gordon are each doing the jobs that make them feel really useful. Well done, everyone.
At night, when the other engines are tucked away in their sheds, you can still hear the faraway call of an engine's whistle and the clickety-clack of train wheels turning. This is the sound of the mail train. One train is pulled by Thomas and the other by Percy, as the loads are too heavy for one engine to do the work alone. The mail is loaded into freight cars at the harbor, and the engines pull their trains through the silent stations delivering their precious loads. On a clear night, a big shiny moon brightens their journey, but often Thomas and Percy can't even see the stars. But whatever the weather, lamps along the track always light their way. One night, Percy was waiting at the junction. The main line train was late. At last, Henry arrived. Sorry, he puffed. The mail boat from the mainland was delayed. Come on, Percy, said his driver. Let's make up for lost time. Percy puffed along as quickly as he could, but the sun was already rising as he finished his work. Never mind, thought Percy. It's nice to be up and about when it's the start of a new day and there's no one else around. Percy was not alone for long. Bother, said Percy. It's that dizzy thing, Harold.
Good morning, whirred Harold. I always said railways were out of date, but you're so slow with the mail. You should give everyone their stamps back.
Percy was too tired to explain. Bird brain, he muttered. Good morning, Percy, called Duck. You're up early this morning? No, you're wrong, sighed Percy. I'm back, tired and late. He rolled into the shed and fell asleep almost before his buffers touched the bar. His driver decided to set off early that evening. Thomas was waiting at the station. Thank goodness I have a chance to speak to you. Driver says that the person in charge of the mail has complained to Sir Topham Hatt about the delay last night. But that wasn't my fault, replied Percy. I know, said Thomas, and so does Sir Topham Hatt. But this mail person wouldn't listen. Tonight we'll just have to be quicker than ever before. The engines were just leaving when they heard a familiar buzzing.
I say, you two, there's news flying about.
Where? Puffed Percy crossly.
All over the place. They're going to scrap the mail train and use me instead. Wings work wonders, you know. Always.
Rubbish, huffed Thomas. That night, everything ran like clockwork. Thomas and Percy steamed through the stations, making good time everywhere they went. At a station, Thomas noticed a man looking cold and worried. He had missed his train home. We can give you a ride, said Thomas's driver, but it will be rather uncomfortable. Thank you, said the man. Anything's better than sitting here. The next afternoon, Percy passed the airfield and saw Harold. Hello, Lazy Wings. Are you too tired to fly today?
The wind's too strong, grumbled Harold. I've been grounded.
You need rails, laughed Percy. They work wonders, you know. Always. That night, Sir Topham Hatt showed the two engines a letter. It was from the man who missed his train. He thinks you are both splendid, and everyone says that the mail train is the pride of the line.
He's a cheeky one. Jane. His fame, but lots of fun. Percy. Pulls the mail on time. Gordon. Thunders down the line. Emily. Really knows her stuff. Henry. Toots and huffs and puffs. Edward. Wants to help and share. Toby. Well, let's say he's square. There's two, there's four, there's 6, there 8. Shunting trucks and hauling freight. Red and green and brown and blue. They're the really useful crew. All with different roles to play. Round timber sheds so far away. Down the hills and round the bends. Thomas and his friends. They're 2, they're 4, they're 6, they're 8. Shunting trucks and hauling freight. Red and green and brown and blue. They're the really useful crew. All with different roles to play. Round timber sheds so far away. Down the hills and round the bends. Thomas and his friends. Blah, 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 blah. PBS!